Good evening, folks. Welcome to the September edition of the Amherst Planning Board. I appreciate you all coming this evening. I'll go through a few housekeeping items first before we start the meeting. First off, let me give you some background. Planning Board, the members are volunteers appointed by the Town Board. The Town Board, of course, are elected officials. The Planning Board makes final decision on site plans and subdivisions. The Town Board receives recommendations from the Planning Board and makes final decisions on rezonings. And the Planning Board, of course, is an advisory only on rezonings, making recommendations to the Town Board. Procedures and ground rules for public hearings. The petitioner will present to the board on the agenda item. The board will ask questions and converse with the petitioner or petitioners. I will then ask if anyone has any public any from the public, questions from the public, and has comments or questions. Okay, and then the planning board will ask the petitioner to address any questions or comments from the public. There's a laser over there, a pointer attached to the podium that you can use during the hearings. If you use the laser, please point it, refer to the larger screen to the left to make your comments. Presentation by petitioner is 15 minutes. Comments by a neighborhood resident spokesperson are 15 minutes. Everybody thereafter, individual speakers, are 15 minutes and 3 minutes for individuals after that. We ask that if you've got a cell phone that you please mute it or turn it off, only because if they go off, if someone's up here speaking, it interferes and it makes it tough for everyone to hear. We do know that the facility, sometimes it's a challenge to hear here. I know that they're making some changes to that in the future, but until such time, that's why we ask for some of these things like the cell phone. If we've got to evacuate for whatever reason, please exit one of those two doors and either go out the front end or to the back of the building. Do not come back this way. If you're wanting to speak about a particular agenda item as it comes up, please form to the side there so I can see that you're there. And then when you come in front of us, you will obviously present, tell us who you are, your name, and your address. That being said, we will go to the first item this evening. All right, so this is for the project that's 10060 Transit Road. So I'm going to ask, if you will, is there going to be a motion for the negative declaration?
Based upon
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Brittany, a second by Dell. Roll call, please.
Gill,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Giuliani,
Yes.
Tom, yes, Penberthy, yes, Raphael.
Yes.
The motion passes 6-0. Thank you. So now that we've concluded that with regards to that, now we can go back to that we've concluded the seeker approval. Now we're going to back and we're going to have a hearing with regards to the preliminary plat review. Please.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Ken Zalch. I'm with the engineering firm GPI here tonight on behalf of DJC Land, Inc. We're here requesting a preliminary plat approval for the Ashley Green subdivision located at Smith Road, just west of Transit Road. You can see this is a site location. We're immediately adjacent to the Ruby Lane, Glen Oak, and Ransom Oaks area, just to the south of it. And the parcel in question is going to be to the western, the hatched parcel. DJC Land does own all of that gray area extending out to Transit Road. We will be coming in eventually for a site plan for the eastern portion, but under consideration tonight is solely the western half of the property. This is just an aerial image to show the neighboring uses are largely single-family residential. We're proposing pretty much the same exact thing, so it will be in continuity with the adjacent development. This project is about 13.8 acres. We've divided it up into 26 lots, and we'll just move along on this one so we can see the layout. As part of the request tonight, we are asking for a sidewalk waiver. This would be solely along Smith Road. We have sidewalks within the development throughout all the lot frontages, as well as connecting to Ruby Lane. But we are asking that we have a waiver for the sidewalk along Smith Road, just because there is no existing sidewalk out there on Smith Road at all. Tom, you can do next. We have received support from the town itself, from the traffic safety coordinator and town engineering department. They agreed with our assessment that sidewalks would not be necessary along Smith Road. Aside from the fact that there are no sidewalks on Smith, they also noted that there's various obstacles, utility poles, there's a ditch just immediately adjacent to it, as well as other infrastructure that would make installation difficult. So just take you back, I know this board has seen this plan a number of times through the sketch plan and seeker stages. It was drawn out before then too with the rezoning. The sketch plan shown here was approved by this board unanimously in March of this year. It was 26 lots connected to Ruby Lane, had the turnaround located just east of the ditch. And if you go to the next one, what we've presented as part of the preliminary plat is pretty much the same exact thing. There's really no difference between our sketch and our preliminary plat other than the fact that we've gone through the engineering. We've made whatever minor tweaks we've needed to based on the proposed infrastructure. You'll notice that the right-of-way at the ditch has been expanded a little bit. This is to accommodate the culvert so that both culverts are wholly within town public right-of-way areas, not going onto any private property. This does include the Ruby Lane connection. That was point of discussion through the sketch plan stage, and we were required to put that in with no obstructions, no gates, full connectivity. All of our lots meet or exceed the R3 minimum sizes. Just to give a quick overview of the infrastructure and the utilities that will be associated with this development, above here is the paving and drainage plan. We are noting the connection to Ruby Lane. There's an existing turnaround there today. This turnaround will be removed. The land will be regraded and topsoiled. The sidewalk will be connected so that essentially you won't know that that road ever ended. We are also proposing removal of a 42-inch pipe on the town ditch. This is an existing pipe that was used by the farmer. It's essentially an obstruction at this point for that ditch system. It narrows it down. Our culverts that we've proposed at two locations where our crossing are much larger. I believe they're about 5-6 feet wide, so you can imagine that removing that 42-inch pipe will help improve the drainage flow in that area. And our culverts have been appropriately sized per floodplain calculations to meet and exceed the drainage flow through the ditch there. All of our stormwater will be collected on site. It will be distributed through an enclosed system to the pond that you see at the southern portion of the site, which then outlets to the ditch. All of our water is controlled in terms of our outlet structure coming from the pond. Our pre-developed condition, or I apologize, our post-developed runoff rate is going to be less than our pre-developed condition, so we're not increasing runoff on site. We are capturing all stormwater as required by the town. We have rear yard drainage, which collects all of the stormwater, so there should be no concerns over discharging of stormwater onto adjoining properties. Erosion sediment control plan shows a proposed area of disturbance. We are keeping the southern portion as well as the ditch buffer largely undisturbed. Our primary construction entrance will be off Smith Road. We are not looking to access the site through the town roads. We will have orange construction fence located around those critical areas such as the wetland and some of the area around the ditch itself. And as the process goes through site construction, we have a perimeter silt fence or silt sock that will be installed to help prevent any type of erosion onto adjoining properties and runoff onto adjoining properties. And this is ensured through a practice of inspections. Given the size of the site, we'd anticipate that this would be inspected twice a week for conformance, making sure that we are meeting that intent of the erosion and sediment control measures in place. Just to give a quick overview here, this has gone through the town review process over the course of the last probably 5 months or so. where the town departments have had opportunities to review, comment on our design and our engineering plans and reports, our calculations. We've received conditional approvals or full approvals from all those agencies listed that have that opportunity to look at this project. Even if this board decides that we're in a position to get preliminary plat approval tonight, we still require some additional outside approvals, as is usually the case with the Erie County Water Authority and Erie County Health Department. They'll be reviewing the water line and the sanitary sewer line to make sure that that meets their requirements as well. And again, we'll have another opportunity to come back in front of this board one last time, and that will be for final plat. Following any type of approval with there, that would also still require a PIP approval through the Town of Public Improvement Permit before any type of construction is started. So while we're getting quite through the process and working out all these final details, we know we still have more to go, and there's still another opportunity to be back in front of this board before a final approval. With that, we are asking for a conditional approval of the preliminary plat tonight, and I can take any questions the board may have.
Excellent, thank you. Start. Brittany, any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Herb?
No.
Joseph? No questions.
No questions.
Is there anybody from the audience who'd like to speak on this? If so, please.
James Sturman, 30 Odessa Court, East Amherst. This is the third meeting I've been to regarding this plan. There's been multiple speakers who live in the region, such as I do, who have spoken about, at least at minimum, limiting the traffic and not having exposure to Ruby Lane. Apparently, the people who live there have no say. You folks have already approved them to have access to Ruby Lane, which now turns a quiet residential area into a heavy traffic thing. Let me just thank you folks for paying attention to the people who live there.
Sir, excuse me, I'll tell you what, let me tell you why we did that. Remember December of 2022? Remember the storm? We want to make sure that we can get access in there for more than one thing, and that's why we've done that, because we found in so many areas of the town where those other areas didn't, we couldn't get into those.
Let me give you a simple answer to that.
Go right ahead.
Glen Oak Drive ends right by Ruby Lane. There's been talk about having access to Transit Road for as long as I've lived there, which is over 30 years. They easily could have made an access road that blocked off and only open for emergencies. Never done. Now all of a sudden they're being done. It still can be done. So I understand your point, except for one thing though. The option of doing it was never done. And it could have been done very easily off of Transit.
And after that storm, we've decided to do things differently. Is there anybody else?
Susan Kobus, 1079 Smith Road. I understand that the Army Corps of Engineers was going to review the wetlands. Is that still going to be done, or has it already happened?
Here, direct questions to us, and then we'll have the
Okay.
representative come back to you, okay?
There was one small wetland area was proposed to be eliminated, and I know there were some changes as far as whose jurisdiction wetlands are, and I was wondering if the Army Corps of Engineers did review.
Okay, and we'll
'Cause I
get that
haven't
answer for you.
Okay, and just wanted to say that I had to get this mailing from Town of Amherst about the natural and beneficial functions of floodplains. Under natural conditions, a flood causes little or no damage. Nature ensures that floodplain flora and fauna can survive the more frequent inundations. This is the case in the wetland and open space areas in the town, as well as the vacant lands adjacent to all of our creeks and ditches. These natural areas help reduce our flood damage by allowing floodwaters to spread over a large area. This reduces flood velocities and provides flood storage to reduce peak flows downstream. Natural floodplains reduce wind and wave impacts, and their vegetation stabilizes soils during flooding. Further, floodplains provide water quality by filtering nutrients, removing impurities and organic waste, and moderating temperature fluctuations. It is our job to help preserve natural areas in the floodplain. The town of Amherst experiences most of its flooding in the floodplain.
Excuse me, ma'am. I understand what you're doing. You're asking these things. You're looking for the
It's
response.
the last two sentences. The floodplain areas adjacent to Tonawanda, Gott, and Ransom Creeks, where most land is agricultural and rural. Flooding is characterized as slow rising, standing water with no wave action or high velocity. So that's all.
All right. We'll get that answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If there is, please line up there so we know.
Good evening, Steve Massaro, 1116 Smith Road. Is it possible you can put that site map back up there?
Sure.
Now. How does this work? There we go. Is that considered the retention pond? Now, are you giving, what kind of buffer are you giving to the people that live here?
Again, why don't you just ask all your questions and
That's what I'm asking. Okay, I'm wondering what is the distance of the buffer zone that's going to be installed with that?
okay, we'll get that answer for you when he comes up.
And then once again, the traffic problem. I understand that there was a traffic study done years ago. In the meantime, you've already added the football field down the road, which adds traffic. You got a development, I believe, on New and Millersport that's going to add traffic because Smith Road is ending up being a cut-through for anybody coming from Niagara County to Clarence flies down Smith Road. Speed limit's 35 miles an hour. People do 60, 70. There were people racing their motorcycles the other night, had to be doing 90 miles an hour down the road. So the problem is the traffic, the infrastructure with what you're doing needs to be upgraded. The sewer system in this town, I think you all know, is shot. That needs to be upgraded. When is money going to be put into that system to upgrade it? And that's pretty much it. So I'm worried more about the buffer zones for the retention pond too. Okay?
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none?
Okay. I don't know that we need to rehash too much about the Ruby Lane connection. We all know that the town, and in general, it's good practice to promote connectivity. That Stubb Street was obviously placed there for future expansion. In regards to the question regarding wetlands, this is Army Corps of Engineers wetlands on site. There are no DEC wetlands. They do not qualify given the size of them. The Army Corps has provided their jurisdictional determination identifying which wetlands on site are theirs and under their control. We are in the middle of the wetland permitting process for that. We are disturbing a proposed less than 0.2 of an acre of wetland impact. Half of that is going to be associated with our culverts, just doing the work in and around the ditch for our culverts. There is another small portion on just one of the lots. So we really practiced avoidance, which is what the Corps prefers. Anytime they come in and see a wetland permit, they like you to avoid as much as you can for the wetlands, and you can see that the largest wetland we have on site is just south of that pond, and that's in the preservation area that we have. There is floodplain on site. We are proposing a filling of a portion of it. It's not a significant portion in this area. We have provided floodplain studies to the town, identifying that there is limited to no increase in the floodplain in this vicinity. And just with respect to the floodplain itself, we are having a riparian buffer as required by the town along the town ditch. That's where most of the floodplain is coming from. It's actually, generally speaking, backwater from Black Creek further downstream, actually comes into this site. It's not flow that's coming through our site that's raising the floodplain. It's tailwaters that are backing up in here. We have that 50-foot riparian buffer to help preserve those areas that may be more impacted by the floodplain itself. In regards to the pond, right now from the property line to any grading that would occur for the pond, we have 25 feet and probably about 50 feet from the property line to the actual water's edge will be the distance there. And also keep in mind, On the adjacent property too, you can see the ditch essentially runs down the center line of the property. So there will be even more lands between the pond and any adjacent usable land from that owner. You know, the ditch seems to cover probably about another 25 feet beyond there. That likely is just going to remain treed and as is on their property.
Are you okay with that? No, I mean, for your response? Okay. You good? All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Hearing is closed. It's the end of the hearings, folks. That's it. So, we can, what do you want to take, about a 20-minute break, or what do you want to do?
Why don't we just keep on?
Why don't we just keep on going? All right.
He wants to go for lunch.
Yeah, not in 20 minutes. All right, so why don't we come back to, is that, yeah, you guys want to do your thing? Okay. Now we'll just make sure everyone adjusts their seating.
Should have taken a 20-minute break.
We ready? Everyone good? All right. Let's go back to this, the first item. We'll go to the preliminary plat review. Do I have a motion? Oh, we do have conditions. So why don't we review the conditions? I know everyone has seen them. Everyone got a copy of them today. Does everyone understand those? We do need to get this on record. So why don't we just, from the standpoint of, so that's heard tonight, can we review the conditions, please?
All right, condition one is that an approved jurisdictional determination be made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, or if they obtain a wetland permit prior to issuance of final plat for the subdivision. The concerns raised in the Town of Amherst Engineering Stormwater Management Officer's letter dated July 12th are addressed to the satisfaction of that officer. Concerns raised in the Town of Amherst Engineering Department letter dated July 12th are addressed to the satisfaction of the department. The concerns raised in the Town of Amherst Engineering Department Engineering Services Division letter dated August 24th are addressed to the satisfaction of that department. Concerns raised by the Amherst Traffic Safety Board, letter dated August 8, 2003, are addressed to the satisfaction of that board. These are all prior to final plat submittal. Subdivision name and proposed street name must be approved prior to submittal of final plat. Drafts of the proposed public and private easements for the proposed subdivision be provided for review and approval, and that they include language that they cannot be modified or rescinded without town approval prior to submittal of a final plat. These easements shall also cover the demarcated areas of the riparian buffer and the conservation areas. That an address plan is approved prior to issuance of any building permits for the fire chiefs. That the existing temporary turnaround on the southern end of Ruby Lane be removed and restored to lawn, and that sidewalks from the Kermit Terminus and Ruby be extended into the subdivision. That the concept plan for the future phases of the development for the subject property was being used solely for reference. Approval of the subdivision shall not be construed to endorse that concept plan. That the board reserves its right to request land to be dedicated for recreation purpose in subsequent phases if deemed to be needed by the town. And as the resolution is currently written, you are also requiring sidewalks on Ruby Lane, the extension of it, and on the proposed street, which we don't have a name to, We're requiring street lighting on the proposed streets. And you're also going, as part of the PIP, require that the existing temporary turnaround on the southern end of Ruby Lane be removed, along with the extension of Ruby Lane, and the sidewalks on that portion be included with the PIPs for the roadway and utilities. While also requiring that all the recreation fees are paid in accordance with the fee schedule. The only thing currently not in here is the ask for the sidewalk waiver on Smith Road,
Okay.
which I will put in depending on how this board acts.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you so much. We've heard the conditions. Does everyone understand the conditions? Does anyone like to add anything to those conditions? Hearing not. All right. So, can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Can I have a second? Dell and Joe. All right, roll call, please.
Gill,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Giuliani.
Yes.
Khan, Penberthy. Yes. Raphael.
6-0, motion passes unanimously with the understanding of the motions. Thank you. All right. So now we have also a third part of that, the sidewalk waiver. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
And a second. All right. Dell and Harb, roll call, please.
Gill,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Giuliani.
Yes.
Khan. Yes. Penberthy. Yes. Raphael.
Motion passes 6-0. All right. Let's go to the next item, which is item number 3. All right, for the purpose of the, here tonight, all right, this is the site plan from review for the proposed multifamily development property located at 480 Dodge Road. All right, we're for two things here. One is seeker determination, and the other is the site plan. All right, for seeker determination,
Move to approve.
do we have a second? Do we have a second? Second. Dell and Joe. All right, roll call, please.
Gill,
Yes.
Gilmore.
Yes.
Giuliani.
Yes.
Khan. Yes. Penberthy. Yes. Raphael.
Motion passes 6-0. Site plan with conditions. Do we want to review those, please, for this purpose of anybody listening to this tonight? Conditions on this?
I'll go through the conditions, Bob.
Yes.
These are conditions to be met before the final site plan approval can be issued. Number one, the petitioner confirm their agreement to enter into a future reciprocal agreement for ingress and egress between the subject parcel and 460 Dodge Road, and that the access stub be shifted to the north and constructed to the property line, aligning with the proposed southerly drive aisle. Number two, the petitioner must request and receive from the town board release of the existing 30-foot wide sanitary sewer easement or portion thereof along Dodge Road, documenting that this easement is being modified or abandoned to allow for the proposed development. Number three, that an outside children's play area be added to the site plan next to the clubhouse. Number four, that the petitioner address the comments of the Fire Chiefs Association in their letter dated August 18th, 2023, to satisfaction of the association. Number five, that the petitioner address the comments of the Stormwater Management Officer and of the Engineering Department in their letters dated April 28th, May 16th, June 2nd, and July 5th, 2023, to the satisfaction of that department. Number six, that a rectangular rapid flashing beacon be paid for and installed by the petitioner on Dodge Road at the intersection at Robin Ridge Road under a permit from the Erie County Department of Public Works. Number seven is a standard condition requiring that dumpsters and mechanical equipment, utilities be appropriately screened. Number eight, standard condition that as-built record drawings be provided prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy. And number nine, that additional environmental investigation and remediation will be conducted under the direction of the New York State DEC if any recognized environmental conditions are found in the field during construction. Those are all the conditions.
Thank you, Gary. Has everyone heard the conditions, understand the conditions? Any questions on those? Okay, I gotta, just to be clear, sidewalks along there, we're requiring sidewalks along there.
There are sidewalks, internal and on Dodge Road.
Thank you. All right. This is for the site plan part of this. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Dell. Roll call, please.
Gill?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Giuliani?
Yes.
Khan? Yes. Penberthy? Yes. Raphael?
The motion passes 6-0. All right. We've got everything on this for this evening. Has everyone had their opportunity to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Gill?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Yes.
Giuliani? Khan? Yes. Penberthy? Yes. Raphael?
We have 5, motion passes 5 with 1 abstention. All right, is there anything else we want to chat about tonight, folks? Anything else on your mind? This was a long one. If not, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Man, wait a minute. We got so many that wanted to jump in and so many that wanted to second here, okay? All right, we'll make it a unanimous motion and a unanimous second. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks. You're gonna be around for election time, right? Oh, yeah, I got some in the car. You want one? Actually, they're all popping up now. They're all popping up now. You don't want to get them too early. Seriously. I mean, I don't like it when it's too early. I wouldn't do that. Can't do it in the village.